Okay, so this week we are going to add onto what we learned last week when we simplified square roots. So we are going to add variables and the rule still stays the same. So what we want to do for a square root is we've got doubles. We want to look for doubles of anything. So doubles you write outside the square root once. And anything that's single has to stay inside the radical. Singles stay inside. Okay. And so everything that's on the outside and everything that's on the inside, I'm going to write the word is we want to multiply them back together. Okay. All right, so let's look at our first example. So we have the square root of 150 r to the 5th power. So as a review for the 150, we can break that up into any two numbers that are being multiplied. So I'm just going to pick 15 times 10. And so we want to keep breaking these numbers down until we can't. And remember, we don't use the number 1. So 15 can be rewritten as 3 times 5. And 10 can be rewritten as 2 times 5. And so all four of these numbers are still being multiplied together. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing with r to the 5th. So from quarter 1, that exponent means that we have 5 r's. All right, so now everything is written out as much as it can. So we want to start looking for doubles. So here is a double 5, so we're going to write it once on the outside. We've got one double r and a second group of double r's, and so we write that as r to the 2 to show there's two groups, okay? And anything that's single gets left, so 3 goes inside, 2 goes inside, and this r goes inside. All right, and our final answer is if we have more than one number to multiply back together on the inside or outside, that's what we want to do. So our final answer is going to be 5r squared, since a number and a letter can't be simplified any further, but we can do 3 times 2, so that's going to be 6r. And that's our final answer. All right, so let's look at the second example. So we have 175. So I think of 25 times 7. Okay, think of it like quarters. $1.75 is 7 quarters. All right, and then if we break down 25, that's 5 times 5. And this 7 is going to stay. X to the 3rd means we've got 3 x's. And y squared means we have 2 y's. So I think it's a lot easier if you just write out the letters so you see it, okay? There's rules we can memorize, but I choose not to teach it that way. All right, and so now our rule is to look for doubles. So here's a double 5, single, so I'll put that back inside. Here's one double x and one single x. So notice I put that inside. And we have a double y, but just one of them, okay? And so we don't have to write that exponent of 1. Remember, if there isn't a number on the letter exponent, it implies that it is a 1. And so we don't have any numbers on the outside to multiply together, and we don't have any numbers on the inside. So that means that this is our final answer, okay? All right, let's try another one. So sometimes the numbers get a little larger, and this has a little different scenario with the variables. So let's think of 49. So I know it ends in a 0, so 10 will divide, but you can pick any number to divide that by. And if we divide, we get 49. So that 490 is gone. 10 is 2 times 5. And 49 is 7 times 7. We don't really have any choices. So no matter what factors you pick, we should all end up with a 2, a 5, a 7, and a 7. We've got 4 x's and 4y's. All right, so now we want to start looking for doubles. So I have a double 7. We write that once on the outside. And then I have a 2 and a 5 that are both single, so those are going to stay inside. I have one group of doubles and a second group of double x's. So we write that as x squared. And then I have one group of double y's and a second group of double y's. So that is written as y to the 2. So there's two groups. We don't have any single variables left, so that means that there won't be a variable inside the root. All right, and our last step is to multiply any numbers together inside and out that we can. So the 7x squared y squared is going to stay, and we can combine 2 times 5 gives us 10. And so this would be our final answer. All right, let's try one last problem. So we've got 96. It's a number I don't work with very often, so I know it's even. It'll divide by 2, and we get 48. So I'll keep the 2, and 48 can also divide by 2. That'll give us 24. Okay, so I'm going to keep the 2, keep this 2, and 24 is 4 times 6. So I'll keep the 2, keep the 2. 4 is 2 times 2, so you really want to keep track of all of your numbers so you don't think you've already written it. And 6 is 2 times 3. We've got u cubed, so that means we have 3 of them. And then I have 1v. Remember, there's an imaginary 1 there, so I'm going to still bring that down. Okay, so now we'll look for doubles. So here's a double 2. Here's a double 2, so another one comes out. Here's a double U, and single, 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 single. So all of those are going to go back inside. Okay. So like I said, the idea is the same, but I think all of these examples show something a little different. So our final answer, we are going to multiply what we can back together. That's a W. So I get 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 3 gives us 6UV. And so that's our final answer, okay? So as you're doing your practice, I would definitely recommend you have some scratch paper. It is almost impossible to do this all in your head, okay?